how do I really succeed? And so I built a team. I found my way to Keller Williams. I read what was white papers before the red book. And I'm really good at just following proven systems and models, right? And I'm also really good at screwing them up. I'm really good at taking action, whether it be the right or wrong action, and hopefully fixing if it's wrong. So that led to an opportunity to buy my market center. It was struggling. And so I built the number one agent business in my board. We closed 245 transactions my last year, and I sold that business, not knowing there would be this thing called expansion later. So long story, really short, I've been involved in 15 different market centers as an investor, team leader, operating principal. I've been a regional director, an area director. Let's see, what else, Rebecca? I'm now currently the director of growth for Keller Williams International. I get to talk with Gary a lot, which is a fascinating journey in and of itself in leadership. And I couldn't be more blessed. 2008 is the reason why today is different. And what I mean by that is in 2008, I had a partner who was an accountant, and he believed that no money should be in reserves, no money should be in savings, that we should invest it all because you can make money on the spread, right? For one of the things I'm most proud of all the mistakes I've made, one of the things I'm most proud of is I built a wealth building community that goes back to 2003. And I started in my market center because I saw so many real estate agents that were just broke. And it was more about their mindset of being broke than anything else. And so that's up and running. Now it's live on Facebook. We've got, I don't know, Rebecca, 3,800 people involved in that community. And I was challenged. One of the things I'm most proud of is I was challenged by my coach at the time, Tony DeCello, to do something outside of real estate that would have a dramatic impact on people's lives that I cared about. And so, very short story, I told him I was going to help 10 families go passive. And he challenged me to get to 100. And so today we're in the 140s, 150 families that we've helped get passive financially. And those 150 families are dealing with this crisis differently than everybody else. So there's a method to the madness around this. But in terms of setbacks, in 2008, I nearly filed bankruptcy. I was $6 million in debt, robbing from Peter to pay Paul, selling everything I could. And I swore as we worked our way through that I would never be so highly leveraged again. And that if anything else happened, I would have tons of reserves. So today we have 27 businesses. Every single one of them has 3 to 6 months in reserves. The big ones that are cash intensive, 6 months. And so we're ready for this. We're prepared for this, which means we get through the fear and panic faster and can lead faster. So that was a very long answer to your short question, Mary Beth.
No, that's okay. Something that you said there that I can relate to is doing something that you love that's not in real estate. So I have listened to your Wealth Building Fridays. Is that something that's open for everybody? And what's the structure of that?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. It's every Friday morning, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. And we have various guests from time to time, although we haven't done that lately, but we've got the top profit share earners in Keller Williams on it. We've got a lot of people who've built a ton of wealth in this industry, how they've done it, whether it be real estate investing or growth stock mutual funds or businesses, market centers, whatever the case is. And so it's a fascinating journey on how people think about money. And we study different things, every week is different. So there's probably 60 videos on that Facebook page you can go back and watch if you're so inclined.
And what's the name of the group again? Is it King's Wealth?
King's Wealth Building, yeah.
King's Wealth Building. Awesome. Well, Julie.
So Mark, one of the things that you've had to do far before Corona is lead your teams, sometimes with not always being present, being a regional director, being now in your position now too. You've got 27 businesses. I'm sure you're not in them all every single day. So it's forced you to lead from a high level and without being able to see them, touch them, give them the high five, pat on the back. So I was hoping that maybe you could share with us how you evolved into being such a great leader from afar and some tips that maybe we could implement since we're being forced to.
Well, and if I could add to that, I think that, Mark, one of your best attributes is your energy and your connection when we are in person. And so I think a lot of our leaders can relate to that, where, you know, your energy is necessary to be in the office and we want you to love on the agents. So how, to Julie's point, please.
Well, both of you are extremely kind, and I would first argue that I don't believe that I am a great leader. I believe that I'm true, and I believe that I pour into my people. So, and because even the term "my people" makes my skin crawl. But when I say that, what I mean is, a couple of years ago, almost 4 years ago, I hired someone named Rebecca Rose, who is really the operations key to everything that we're doing, and we're in alignment. She's tough as nails. She's on this call. She helps me every day, and she's awesome. But what I realized in the moment of going through career visioning with her is I poured more into the front end hiring process than I had with anybody else, and it's paid off in spades. In other words, I was the person who would always kind of wander through career visioning or recruit select, whatever the path was. So I had finally, after several mistakes and what I'm going to call mishires, committed to the actual process. And so by doing that, I got into life story. I got into motivational interview. I would argue, like the scene from Aaron Brockovich, there's very few people that I interact with on a daily basis that I don't know about their children. I don't know what their big why is. I don't know, so it's real easy to motivate from afar when you're that connected and that in tune. I think the other thing is creating opportunities for people and then following through with that. There's nothing that I found that causes loyalty more than helping people succeed. And at some point, what you realize as a leader is it's not about you. And that's tough for high ego strength realtors like I have been, right? It's tough to realize that the way that you succeed is you have to succeed through other people. There is no other way. And so if it's all about you, you never quite become that successful. So I would argue that not being in person, that's, the coronavirus and before, nothing's really changed in terms of motivating, in terms of understanding what someone's, life story is, what got them to this point, understanding how they win, how you can help them win. But I will tell you, the unique challenge of today is just picking up the phone and calling somebody and saying, how are you doing? How are you doing? I had the amazing honor of interviewing Gary Keller and Mo Anderson yesterday on our national call. Like, what a crazy event that was. And my first question to Gary was, how are you doing? I think it's important that everybody see he's a human being too. He's going through a lot of challenges, right? I mean, you can imagine we all are. And so he leads with grace. He leads with generosity and empathy and all those things. And people don't see that side of him necessarily, but just calling and checking in. How are you doing? The other thing I love to do is I just pop in. Now that we have these amazing Zoom channels and so much going on, I'll just pop in. I popped into Chesterfield, my market center MOP. I popped into the happy hour the other night, right? Just digitally, and held up my beer and said, I'm with you, right? It's more about understanding what people are going through. It's more about, another example of this is we're very proactive. And if there's any strength I have, it's also my biggest weakness, which I think Rebecca will tell you. But my biggest strength or weakness, however you look at it, is I take action immediately. And, when this first started coming up, we first started talking, we had no idea how it would be, how bad it would be. I live in the middle of the country. People here still think this is just a 1-week vacation and everything's going to be fine next week. But because I have a national view and because I'm on the phone with Josh Team and Gary Keller every day, I immediately took action. I immediately cut all the expenses for my agents, immediately created a scholarship fund, bold, that sort of thing. We immediately went to our Agents Helping Agents Fund and we jumped in and hit it very proactively. And then our leaders just spread that vision throughout the market center. So it starts at the local level. It's kind of grassroots from there. And then if you've built a strong team, these are the times that are going to test your leadership. Anybody can lead in good times. When the proverbial, hits the fan, that's when your leadership's tested. So I would also add one quick thing to this, and that is, and I don't want this to come out the way it's going to sound, and it's probably going to anyway. So when you text and say, Mark said, the answer is probably he did. Probably. But here's the thing. I have never worked harder or longer than the last 30 days. And I love it. I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't wait to get out of bed. I'm jotting notes. I'm sending emails. I have been so energized because there's so many people that are kind of stuck in fear. And what I realize is that's where I was in 2008. And I had people in my life. John Davis is a great example of that, who would just call me and say, hey, get up, let's go. I know it's tough, we got to go. And so having gone through that, having gone through the feeling sorry for myself and the nearly going bankrupt and the, I don't know what I'm going to do and what does my life look like, and oh my gosh, to the faster you get through that, the faster you get into the action that's going to put you in first mover position whenever we get out of this. So because of that experience, today I'm able to have energy 7 days a week, all the time, and hopefully I can be there for people.
That's awesome.
So something that you said in there, if we can go back for a second, is you kind of touched on career visioning and how you career visioned Rebecca so that you went deep and you did get into the connecting, motivation, conversation, setting expectations. So I'm assuming most of our leaders here are with KW, and we do have a career visioning process, is finding and selecting and hiring talent, and then really connecting with people at a high level. So I think what I'm hearing is, for some of us who maybe haven't done that, we could probably set up some one-on-ones with our leadership team to go back through the KPA, to reconnect with our people, to use this time to make those relationships something solid, to see what's important. Plus, they're going through a time in life that maybe their motivations are changing. Would you agree?
100%. I mean, I have to tell you that, and this is, again, the coach in me is going to come out, and I've never been shy about giving my opinion. One of the things that absolutely breaks my heart right now is that we're having a large amount of market centers that are canceling their KPA. And it tells me that they don't understand what we do or why we do it or how we do it. And I don't have any judgment. I understand that we're telling people cut your expenses, but there has never been a time that it's more important to have a tool like that that causes bonding at the level it does than right now. And I'm not saying that because it's going to cost Keller Williams hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I'm saying that because right now I'm doing KPA verifications every week right now. I mean, I don't know what I would do without that tool. And by the way, this is a side note, maybe not something you want to get into, but the talent pool for your organization just exploded, right? If you understand, in 2008, I sold my sales business and stepped into a team leader role. I was the #1 agent in the board. So if we're thinking that there's not talent out there that will come into our organization, it's crazy. We're projecting a 32% unemployment rate. That is Great Depression numbers. That means there's going to be a ton of talent on the market that's going to look up and reevaluate their life and say, should I be doing something different? Could I be doing something different? So I don't know how here's how I look at it. You've heard the old saying, Mary Beth, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, right?
Yep.
Well, it's interesting of whose viewpoint you say that with. I grew up extremely poor. And to me at that time, what that meant is those greedy rich people, they just get richer all the time. And us poor people, we're kept down. The reality is the rich have reserves right now. The rich are leaning into hiring talent right now because they recognize the opportunity. The poor are sitting on their hands and canceling all the tools that help them get ahead. And I don't mean this to sound judgmental at all, because I've been in both shoes. It's not rich versus poor. It's prepared versus unprepared. So you got me fired up, but that's my answer.
Okay,
amen. Awesome. But we do have to be prepared for us to seize the opportunity that's in front of us. And, you know, one of the questions that I have for a guest we have on Thursday is, what can our agents, the agents that are having struggle now is because they didn't prepare. The leaders that are struggling now is because they didn't prepare. They don't have the reserve set up. And so I guess I could ask you this question, because on your Fridays, what is one thing that our leadership could be doing to get through this time to create some income or opportunities?
Yeah, let's talk about that in a couple different places. You know, one of the hardest lessons that I've ever been taught, and it's one of those things that hits you right between the eyes. And you only say this to people you truly, genuinely care about. But when you hear it, it hurts. And that is, you are exactly where you are because of the choices you've made in life. And you say, but wait, bad things happen. There's external forces. And I couldn't agree more. Bad things have happened in my life too. A lot of them, right? And yet I can look back at my own decisions and tell you exactly why I am where I am, whether it's good or bad. And so from a coaching perspective, and remember, you would only say that to somebody you truly care about. And I've had to say that to many people. So what happens is, if you went through 2008 and quote unquote, we learned our lesson, you're prepared for today. If you didn't, then maybe today is your 2008. And here's what I would say: breathe. This too shall pass. And if we're not winning right now, let's learn from it so that we never find ourselves in this position again. That would be number one. In terms of income, this is something that, we believe in and teach and preach all kinds of things around this. Number one is multiple streams of income. So no matter what role you're in, if you are in this industry, I believe you should study and prepare and be an investor in real estate. You say, but right now tenants are having a hard time paying the rent, so that's not good. And you say, well, then you should build your profit share. And you go, well, what if there's no profits? There's no profit to share. And you say, well, and you go down the list, right? If you're a team leader, like I was for many, many years, what you realize, you look up and you go, man, 3/4 of my income potentially just got wiped out for 4 months or however long this lasts. Who knows how long this will last, right? It could be a year, could be 2 years, could be, whatever. So what do I do? Well, that's when, and I don't want to get myself or anybody in trouble, but that's if you're a team leader right now, my team leader has the ability to actually make more money in this time than in normal times. And what do I mean by that? He's bonused on recruiting cappers. There's never been a time where cappers have been more open to having conversations, Zoom appointments. There's never been a time where indies have been more accessible or open to talking to us. Gary Keller's removed all the red tape from recruiting. So from a team leader perspective, and breathe through this comment and understand how I mean it, I would be licking my chops right now financially. Right? I mean, this is the moment where everybody's home. You don't have commute times. You're going to have to put in the extra time and the extra work right now. Look at Gary Keller. The man is working his tail off. He didn't ask to step back into, working whatever number of hours he's working every day. And he's doing it because there's seasons in our life where we have to step back in. We have to plug in. We have to work our butts off. We have to work harder than in some other times. And so the people who are leaning into that, I think, have an opportunity to either to make additional income today or the future, where imagine this: if all you did was go break your own records of recruiting cappers as a team leader, for example, or if all you did was set up a record number of listings in this time because you had the time to do it, then you come out of this and you come out in a first mover position and you take off and you never look back. So I look at these times as you're going to have a lot of people paralyzed by fear. Yeah. And we're in a competitive industry, right? And so if half of the people, or whatever percentage you think it is, are going to sit on their hands and be paralyzed by fear, that means it's your time to jump in and take action.
Yeah, I just got a text actually that Redfin just furloughed 41% of their agents.
Yeah.
So that just wiped out a whole bunch of competition for our agents.
So the CEO,
and we could go pick them up because they probably don't know what to do with themselves.
The CEO just said that our agents are better off taking unemployment than being Redfin agents.
Crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, Julie.
So Mark, we're trained as leaders, we're trained to ask everyone, so what's next for you? Mm-hmm. Mary Beth, what's next for you? Mark, Rebecca, what's next for you? However, how do we as leaders actually ask ourselves that question and self-discover what that answer is? I know
this is not a Corona question. This is just a straight up, we want Mark's brain on this.
Yeah.
Next level.
Yeah. So here's what I believe about opportunity, and here's what I've experienced. And maybe, the number of setbacks, if you haven't met me or heard me talk before, you may think that I just somehow ended up in some position. But the reality is I can add up all my failures and show you a direct path to success, whatever that means to you. And so I believe that the more you fail, the faster you succeed. Well, what does that mean? That means that in times like this, forget coronavirus, you're always looking for what's the next opportunity. And one of the challenges we have, it's human nature, is we go, I've been in real estate a year. I sold 3 million of houses. I've nailed this. What's next? Right? And I was that person. So in 2006, 7, 8, as I was investing millions of dollars in real estate, making more money than I ever dreamed possible, I opened a title company, and then I opened a mortgage company. There was everything I touched was golden in the mid 2000s, right? By the way, everything everyone touched was golden in the mid 2000s. I thought I was really good until it almost took me down. And what I found, what I discovered is the best place to find opportunity is right where you're planted. And nobody wants to hear that. Like it's, okay, so I'm in the team leader, for example. This is a conversation I had with my OP when I was at a breaking point. And I was like, what's next? And where can I go?
What was that breaking point? Share with us when was that breaking point?
So that was in early 2016, and my OP was the CEO of this company, and I wasn't succeeding at the team leader role. I was leading the leadership side of MAPS coaching. I was OP of a couple market centers. I was making a lot more money outside the team leader role than I was inside the team leader role. But because I've had success in the past, I thought that I'd just step back in the role and it'd be handed to me. And that's not how it worked. And so I had to pare down everything. I stepped down from every role I had other than the team leader role. And that was really hard. That was a big gut check. And what I realized in that moment was I've got to go be the best I can be at this one thing. You've heard of this, right? And there's been several times in my life where I've had to step down financially, number of opportunities, whatever the case is, to nail something in order to grow again. And each time you learn. So what we did is I stepped down from everything. I started really looking for talent to surround myself with. This is, the journey that led to Rebecca joining us, that led to us building what I think is the most amazing world-class staff in Keller Williams history. And I'll fight anybody who claims otherwise, right? And then it led to an unbelievable record year of recruiting production and took us from a market center that was maybe worth a couple $100,000 that I got to buy for multiple millions of dollars later, right? It was that time that really understanding, grow where you're planted. If you're a real estate agent, until you're number one on the board, there's no other reason to look other places. I have $10 million producers in my market centers that are ready to expand and go into 50 markets. And my coaching to them is go get to 100. In your market, you can get to 100 million. Build your systems and models and teams so tight and build it through technology that it's duplicatable, scalable, and build resources on the back end. Build millions of dollars of capital so you can then go fail and it doesn't take you down. So my answer to the what's next is always, well, let me back up. So I'll pause that conversation. Here's the phrase that has driven me nuts since I joined this company. You ready? This will be a Twitter moment. We have more opportunity than we have talent to fill it. I can't tell you how many times that was told to my face in this by people in this company. We have more opportunity, we have people to fill it. And I would look at them and go, well, what am I, right?
Yep.
I didn't understand what they were saying. You know how many times I've said that phrase today? Multiple. And here's what I came to learn it meant. We have more opportunity in this company right now than we have qualified talent to fill it, because our standards are so high for the opportunities that we have. So we're looking for every role in this company we have opportunity in. And so if I'm a team leader and I'm thinking about what's my career look like, I'm thinking, how do I nail this role so that if you're talent in this company, you can't hide, we will find you, right? And so what happens is I have on my board behind my computer here, I've got an entire bench I'm building for international talent for different roles, different positions we're filling. And so guess what? The next RDs that are hired are going to come from the team leader or OP ranks. The next, Keller Williams International VPs and directors are going to come from the team leader ranks. Like, this is the proving ground for those other opportunities. So what's next really depends on how you perform today.
Great.
I love that answer. And because we're the typical team leader that does the job at a high level does tend to get antsy, right? We have a little bit of ants in our pants. We want a little touch of this, a little touch of that. And yet we love leading. And I too have been given that advice of, grow where you're planted, build deep roots, do the job. When you're doing the job at the highest level, that's when your opportunities are going to come. And so whether you're a team leader, an assistant team leader, an OP, an agent, I would just say, to Mark's point, is identify what that one thing is that you need to kill it, and just kill it. And then who knows where it's going to take you from there, right?
Well, and you also know that I've been pounding the drum of the millionaire team leader, right? So if we just focus in on the team leader role, and by the way, why not the millionaire MCA, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
What is keeping team leaders from making $1 million a year? Now, I know that's not the definition of a millionaire, but for these purposes, the millionaire real estate agent, the millionaire real estate investor, the millionaire market center owner, the millionaire team leader, what does that look like? And so we've studied the people who've actually gotten over $1 million a year in income from the team leader role. And my hope is that if you're in the team leader role, the role you're in and the opportunity you're in my mind, shouldn't have anything to do with the money. Because if you nail the team leader role, you should be making the money you want to make. What happens is people end up doing a role at some level and they see other opportunities to make more money. So they spread their focus and go take on more things. So money and opportunity are two different things, in my opinion. If you nail the team leader role, you should be able to make whatever you want to make. Now, the challenge is, and I've been an OP who didn't understand this, so I have no judgment in this. The challenge is we have OPs, I've been one, who have the mindset of, I want you to make a lot of money and I want you to get ahead, just not ahead of me. Well, the reality is, right, that I've had talent in the team leader role leave me because I didn't have a big enough vision. I want our team leaders to make I want you to be a team leader for the rest of your career. I would be a team leader today if Gary hadn't called and said, you can't be a team leader, right? In other words, we have an opportunity for you, but also I don't have the time to be a regional director or to be a team leader, those sorts of things. This is a full-time job, but I would be a team leader today. That is my favorite role in this company. It is the same role, by the way, for the regional director. It's the same. I'm in a team leader role. It's just at a different level, right? So the opportunity is there. And I would tell you, if you're looking at the team leader role as a stepping stone to something different, we're looking at it backwards, right? The team leader role should be the role you make, whatever opportunity you choose.
Awesome.
Sorry, that's my rant. You hit on my rant.
No, I love your rants, and really because when I got to hear you talk, I just so was like, he's walked in the shoes that I've walked in, that every great team leader should eventually get to experience some of the things that you talk so freely about because you have experienced them. And so sometimes as team leaders, it's hard to take advice from an OP or listen to an assistant team leader and have them tell us what it should be like or what it's like, or an ALC member. And so I just thought you'd be a great voice for us to just hear. If you're okay with it, I'd like to open up Rebecca's mic and just ask her really what it feels like to be inside of your world, because what you're saying is you're not doing this alone either. You didn't get there by yourself.
Let me just say real quick that 100% of any success you may perceive, and you always look at someone from the outside in and go, they're successful, and whatever metrics you put into that, 100% of that has to do with the people I've surrounded myself with, right? Rebecca is the one that's visible, and she's amazing talent. She will tell you there are a lot of other people. I'm married to a world-class recruiter. There are a lot of people in our world that are world-class.
That's awesome. You've always said your team will make or break you, and that's so.
Rebecca,
you had a question for Rebecca?
Yeah, I just want to know, if Marc career visioned you, I know I heard your story about why you took the job back when you took the job. If you could share for our viewers why you took the job, and then tell me a little bit, what has that experience been like for you? Because I would love to have a Rebecca in my world. And so how can we as leaders have these relationships? Yeah, we all want a Rebecca.
First of all, not everyone wants a Rebecca. I am a problem most of the time. And not one person can run all of the things that Marc does. So there are a lot of people. I'm just the one person that is lucky enough to get to be there most of the time. And I get to spend the most time with him out of all of those people, but I don't think I'm the one that contributes the most by any means. Career visioning for me set a stage that until I went to the career visioning class, people don't know that what you're doing is a system. They think, oh my gosh, this person really wants to get to know me, is making me know myself at a higher level. Even if I wouldn't have taken the job, career visioning would have been worth it. I learned so much about myself through career visioning. And then at the end, there's that question of, what are you going to do if we don't come together on this role? And I remember saying to Marc, have you lost your mind? You're clearly hiring me. Like, this is not, there's no, we don't come together on this role. We spent all this time together. And then I have not had a great track record of working. I normally either get bored or I get angry, and then I quit. And I've been lucky enough in my life that my husband keeps his jobs and makes good money. And when he comes home and finds me sitting on the couch and he says, "Did you quit your job?" I say, "Yeah, I got bored," or "Yeah, they made me mad." And career visioning helped set a foundation where Mark and I, it was like we'd already known each other forever. So when I would get a little bored, well, first of all, he's never boring. Something new always pops up. But on the few occasions that I've gotten a little angry, immediately we knew how to communicate instead of him making it worse or me making it worse. We were able to have a hard conversation without building a foundation while we were working, if that makes sense. So career visioning built that foundation. I will tell you the one thing that I've been able to kind of grasp over 4 years, the reason Mark King is Mark King is because he lives, people grow into the conversations you have around them. Mark wants more for people he works with than they even knew to want for themselves, not than they did want. They didn't even know. So when he shows you or talks about his vision for you, it makes you go, "I'll run through a wall for you." Like, I didn't even think that big for myself. So of course I want to be part of this. And so when I see other leaders leading at a really high level, that's what I think they do. They look at someone and they go, "I see who you could be." And then when they tell you, you go, "What? That could be me? Okay, well, show me how." And when they're like, "It's like this," then those people want to follow you. You don't have to beat them with a stick. They are gladly show up going, "Yeah, tell me more about this big vision you have for me." So I think that's what he does better than anyone else in the world.
And so did he cast his vision for you as to where he was growing, that you were so, attracted to where he could take you? Or was it more that it was about you, Rebecca?
I think in the beginning he did say, "Come work with me and we'll have more fun and you'll make more money than you've ever made in your life."
Was he lying?
And both of those things are true. Yeah, so I have had a ton of fun. And, I think it was a vision he cast. I struggled my whole career because what I am is administrative. I didn't know that there was a different word called operational. And so I struggled. I mean, my family would tell me, "Did you really get a 4-year degree to be someone's secretary?" And it made me go take jobs I wasn't the best fit for. I've had so many sales jobs, I'm really good at them for like 90 days. And then that's not what I wanted to do. So I either get bored or get mad and I leave. Mark was the first person that said, "Hey, you can lead this way. You can be who you are, but still have big success and not look at yourself as less than." It was my own problem. I just needed someone else to show me a bigger vision.
That's great.
Isn't it often us that are the problem?
Always. Always. Everything in my life is my own problem. I'm here because this is where I put myself.
Well, and so Mark said that is that right now we are in this moment because of choices that we made, whether we like it or not, and whether it was positive or negative. I own that. And if we want different, then we got to have different people around us for sure. We got to think about who we're spending our time with. And then we need to think for ourselves where we want to go.
And what choices we're making. We've got, if anyone has any questions for Mark or Rebecca, feel free to put them in the chat. We do have one right now from actually a OP and a rainmaker of $100 million team, I believe. Bill Boswell asked, "What advice, Mark, would you give to agents specifically over the next few months to come out ahead?"
Yeah, I love this. And so, as you can imagine, we've had a lot of conversations around the book Shift. It's as relevant today as it's ever been. So there's literally a manual, right? And very specifically, there are transactions happening. You just have to look a lot harder to find them.
Yeah.
And here's the other way I look at this is we tend to make long-term decisions based on short-term situations, right? So I would love to see, I was talking to Gary the other day, and I said, you know, as an agent, there were several times in my early career where I went 4 months without selling a house. Like I knew how to survive somehow for 4 months without selling a house. Now, I don't, that was self-inflicted, right? But right now, there is so much opportunity to remargin your business to, I mean, if you ever wanted to blow up your business and start over, now is your time, right? The biggest challenge I face as a coach of real estate agents is actually getting them to build a database and communicate with it effectively. And the common comment I hear on that all the time is, if I just had a month to shut everything down and go start over and build my foundation, well, guess what? Your gift is here. Here you go, right? And you say, but I have to make money. And that's kind of, that is true. And it's a little more perceived in the moment. Like, we tend to think where we are right now is where we're going to be forever, right? Good or bad. If you make $1 million a year, you think it's just going to keep rolling in for the rest of your life. And whatever, if you have 0 sales this month, you think you're never going to sell a house again. It's human nature. It's understanding the long view. It's understanding that at some point in our future, we will come out of the current crisis. At some point, you know, we're going to go through what we go through, and we're going to come out on the other side. So really, the best that you can be doing right now specifically is building a stronger foundation. Get involved with your technology at the highest level. Get into command. If you were waiting for something, this is your moment, right? Get the Facebook lead generator ads going. We have a case in our market center where an agent was getting leads for 8 cents a piece. Use the free mortgage Keller Williams offers to your sphere of influence to help people save money. Reach out and call your sphere of influence. Don't email them. They've gotten a million COVID-19 emails. They're not opening them, just like you don't, right? So call the people that you care about. Call everyone in your database. Just check in on them. Care calls. How are you doing? You know, I know that it's a crazy time. I'm a resource for you here. When we come out of this, I'd love to help you with any real estate needs you have. But right now, I just care about helping the community, right? Set yourself up to rebuild your foundation. So when we do come out of this, you get so many referrals, you can't handle them.
Love that. That's awesome. Bill, hopefully that answered your question. We have
perfect. Thank you, guys.
Bill.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I
It
said,
says,
oh, sorry.
he said, hi, Bill.
Okay.
How you doing, Mark?
Dana Cadena also has a question. It says, for those of us who are actively signing market share agents, what are a few approaches he's seeing work in these times after the how are you doing conversation? What are his thoughts on this from a director of expansion and growth?
So if I could rephrase the question, is it how are we having the conversation to get market share agents to sign up, or is it what are we doing once they do sign up?
I think it's approaching, like how to get the appointment. When you call, you start with a care call, and then where do you take it from there? Now.
Thank you, Julie.
So from a team leader perspective, it's the same, right? We're in the same role, whether we're looking for listings or looking for agents. And right now we want to be the safe harbor for you. We want to create that safe place. So this goes back to, it's really important that you go through your own mindset journey, whatever that looks like. You know, where are you on that early adopter scale? Are you still in fear and you're watching reruns of Gilligan's Island every morning because there's nothing else you could possibly do because it's not in your control?
I didn't even know they still have that.
I know. Fun fact, Gilligan's Island was only on for 3 seasons total. Nobody knows that. They think it was like 19 years. Anyway, so, or are you jumping in, taking action, and being the change you want to see? And if you've been through times like this, you're more likely to be jumping into action. If you haven't, you're like, oh my gosh, right? So in terms of getting appointments right now, it's never been easier. If you talk about Indy, it's never been easier. They don't have a path. You have the solution to help every single agent. And here's how I look at this. Our competitors are in different modes of helping their agents, right? Mm-hmm. And so we can't control what they do. What we can control is what we do for our agents. So it's over communicate. Here's my, and I have my list on my board, but it's lead and follow. What does that mean? It means, you know, you have to be a great follower to be a great leader. So who are you going to choose to follow in these times? I've chosen Gary Keller, right? He's been through this multiple times, a lot more than I have. So So then lead, step up and lead, whatever that means to you. I go live on my Facebook page randomly just to touch base with people and say hi. So my next thing is you need to be as visible as you can be. You need to be overly visible, right? That's why I'm on Zooms 12 times a day right now. Just be as visible as you can possibly be. You've got to over communicate. And I don't mean via email. I mean, you've got to reach, you got to work the phones like you're running for office, right? You got to learn everything you can in the moment, right? I'm sure you've heard of the book, John Maxwell, you win or you learn, or we win or we learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
And if you're not learning from this, it's a wasted experience, right? Every great accomplishment in your life came from you learning from something that didn't feel like an accomplishment in the moment. So take advantage of this, right? Here's your moment to learn. This is awesome. Learn everything you can. And when you come out of this, be twice the agent, twice the team leader that you were going in. Personal touch is super important, right? Not physical touch, but personal touch. Reach out and call people. Jump on a Zoom just to say how you're doing. There are more family reunions happening right now over Zoom than ever before in our history. Like, that's super cool, right? People are reconnecting with their own family members, just checking on, see how they're doing. And then I wrote down smile. You know, it's not only good for you, but you know, I don't know if you believe in this kind of stuff, but there's literally endorphins released in your brain when you smile. So smile. You don't have any other option, right? Don't frown, but smile through this. Be that beacon of hope for everybody around you. And what's the worst that could happen? You were the one smiling when everything, you know, went down. I don't know, but smile your way through it. It's a better disposition. It helps people around you. Give hope to other people. You know, misery loves company. So does happiness. So let's be as happy as we possibly can be. Let's be realistic with what's going on. But back to that was nowhere near an answer to the question. Here's a better answer to the question. The more you can get in front of people right now, and the more you can objection handle and say, let's just, and by the way, there's a two-step process right now. I don't think jumping into Zoom with a stranger is a really bright idea in terms of recruiting or in terms of listing a house. It starts on the phone, build the rapport, say, hey, you know what? I'd love to show you some things. I'd love to show you some of the technology that we have. I'd love to help you, you know, work on building the foundation of your business right now, et cetera. So getting the appointments, all those things. Let's talk about specifically, I'm ready to drop some dynamite on my market centers. I'm ready to, meaning in a good way, I'm ready to have signing bonuses because we're prepared financially. If an agent's having a hard time and they're a capper at a competitor, I'm happy to have them have a signing bonus right now just to get through the next couple of months, right? We're going to be able to offer things that our competitors can't because of the financial situation we find ourselves in because we were prepared. So whether it's that, or I'll give you another one. And I know that I get accused of selling commercials for Bold, but Bold changed my life. If you look back if I had to say one thing that changed my life in terms of my mindset, it was Bold. It was Pat Mancuso in 2010 in Springfield, Missouri. And I looked up and I said, this is after I was the #1 agent on my board. And I looked up and said, I've kind of just been going through life just based on my own, you know, natural ceiling of achievement, whatever. I've never been purposeful about changing my life and changing the lives of others. And it set me on a path to completely reinvent who I was, which was needed at the time. So now we have Digital Bold coming. It's unlimited. It's $99 a piece. As a market center, I just talked to my team. They have full capacity. They're going to take $10,000 and get 100 people into Bold. Our own agents, any recruits we have in the pipeline, any cappers that have joined us in the last 6 months, everyone's invited on the Market Center's dime to go to Bold. We need Bold right now. It's the #1 training on mindset. And when Gary Keller tells me that this is the best possible training you can get your agents into in this moment, I'm going to listen to him.
Mark, I was mind blown when you said that was that just yesterday? Yeah, I think that was just yesterday.
Every day.
Feels
Right?
like a year ago.
Yeah, day 185. So yesterday when you said you're going to invest in your people in that way, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is brilliant, because if we were to take a few guests or even our own agents were to win some contest, take them to mega camp, family reunion, it's going to cost us easy hands down $2,500.
Yep.
So for the same investment that you're going to make $10,000, you could take 4 people, or you could have 100 people inside Bold experiencing Bold. I mean, I personally have taken Bold 11 times. I also am a firm believer that Bold has shaped me as a leader. I've never been an agent taking it. I've jumped into AL's team leader in '08. And I just thought that was brilliant. As a leader, I think we need to go back to our OPs if we're not an OP now, or to design a plan on how much we will invest in our people in bold. And maybe it's not something that we have to give away. Maybe it's something that we take back the 99 on the first transaction.
Sure.
I mean, if we have to.
I mean, and this is the conversation that if you could be a part of the private conversations Rebecca and I have around business, it would make you giggle a little bit because I'm a little silly. But I literally said the other day, I will unload every penny I have to my name to get our own people into bold. I don't care what it costs. This is the moment in time where we have the biggest opportunity to change people's lives forever. And I know how to make money. I'll be fine. You can take every dime I have. I've lived in a car. I am all in for helping people during this time. I'll tell you the other thing really quickly, side note, and this is something Gary said that just floored me. And he was talking to Jason Abrams, but he was talking in a way that he was letting all of us know he was talking to us, right? And he said, right now is the time to just give away everything you don't need, right? Yeah. Right now is the moment you can go help people. You can, get rid of everything. This isn't a time that you need to go sell everything on eBay. If you're fortunate enough to have extra stuff, go give it away. Be a blessing to someone. One person's treasure is another person's trash, or the other way around, whatever it is. And in that moment, by the way, this is a billionaire who's talking about unloading his last dime to help people. So it's infectious, and there's no reason we shouldn't have 20, 30,000 people in bold, which is going to be an unbelievable, unprecedented opportunity for us to help our people. So I know it sounds like a commercial, but usually you get paid for commercials. You're not paying $10,000 for commercials.
Yeah. And I believe that starts in May, right? I believe it's 2 days a week, and it's
May 5th. Yep.
4 weeks or so. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody else has any plans for the month of May. I'm pretty sure we're all available. I'm going to take that and run with it. I'm going to talk to my leadership team and see how we can just, activate some of those $99 registrations. Sean Annan also said something kind of clever here. He's one of my ALC members. You are not recruiting them, you're rescuing them.
Oh, that's so good, Sean. I say amen to that.
Yeah.
He's smart. Fun.
One other question, and is what do you say to, and I think if I understand this correctly, is what do you say to agents who perhaps just came off a team, or an agent at Redfin? Like we all know, Redfin agents, they don't as much know how to prospect, right? Or an agent who just came off a team might not have a lot of prospecting history, or their own sphere. Same thing like for Redfin. What do you say to those agents on how they can build right this second to replace their income and take advantage of everything we have?
Right.
Well, and so Carrie's question also says like how KW is going to be different. Like, okay, fine, I come over there. It's the same real estate license. Yeah. How is it different?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's going to be a new normal for all of us. But I would back up, Julie, and I would say the harsh reality, being an agent and being an agent coach for so many years, most agents don't prospect. Most agents don't know how to prospect, and most agents refuse to prospect. It's only in times that we get desperate that we actually are willing to go into the fire and be rejected and prospect. And so I would say there has never been a better time. Here's the great thing. When you say the word prospect, most people think you're on the phone dialing for dollars. Hey, this is Mark King over at Keller Williams. Really, you want to buy or sell a house? Like that's not, in my mind, that's a terrible way to prospect. Anyway, don't do that. But if you change the way you look at things and you say, how many people do I know anywhere in the world, by the way, because our technology now allows you to be the real estate agent of choice for anyone you know, whether they live in your market or not, even if it's a referral fee or whatever the case is. So you have nothing else to do right now but to be making calls, checking in on people, checking in on their families, asking how they're doing, letting them know, hey, I'm still working. I want to be a beacon of hope for the people around me. I'm not going to let this get me down. We know we're going to go through a couple tough months, but I'm working and I care about you. And if there's anything I can do to help you, we have Keller Williams offices around the world. We have Red Day coming up. We are one giant family and we are here to help you. So right now, if you're in real estate, whether you're on a team or you came from Redfin or you don't prospect, take prospecting away from it. And I want you to imagine that all you're doing is calling. Quick story. When I was in Branson, Missouri, one of the 7 places I lived in 7 years building Keller Williams offices. We had a tornado come through, went right down the strip, if you've ever been to Branson, and it wiped out building after building after building. And so immediately I was on the phone with our 125 agents there all day, dialing for dollar. How are you doing? Are you okay? How are you doing? Are you okay? Have you heard from Mary Beth? Has Julie checked in? Are you doing right? That was crisis mode. Really what that was prospecting, right? That's all you have to do right now is call. We're in a crisis. And if there's any advice I could give is, Gary said it yesterday, it's we want to prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Well, what that actually means is you work as if it's the worst, right? Hope is not a strategy. So we're hoping we're delighted that it's not as bad as we think. But I'm absolutely, and I've told Rebecca and my team this, we're planning on making $0 for the rest of this year in any business. We're planning on making $0. So we're going to work as if we have to work our tails off just to make $0 and survive this year. Now, here's what happens. When it doesn't turn out to be that bad, we are so far ahead of all the competition, they can't catch us. So I would say, get out your Rolodex, get on Facebook, get on Zoom, start hosting your own Zooms, go to the internet and find out what the quirky, game you can create for your kids is during COVID-19 lockdown, and then go share that with your sphere of influence, right? I mean, there's so many things you can do right now. It's just be visible, over communicate, lead through this, be a resource, be a beacon of hope. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. If you know people, you can do that. Here's the second piece, Julie. When you show up this way, you're going to be asked to be a part of other communities. Like this week, I get to do this call with you, right? And several others where I get to meet people that I've never met before. I get to say hi to people that I haven't seen in a long time, right? And so I'm using your network right now to get my message out and say hello to people, right? This agents do the exact same thing. I would be calling every vendor who touches a real estate transaction in your area. They're all hurting too, and they're about to be. And I would say, hey, I want to make sure that I can get in front of every single one of your clients and let them know that I am still working. I'm here as a resource. I'm here to help them. When the rest of the industry goes to sleep because they're in fear or paralyzed, I'm here to help. If you did that with every vendor in your area, you will be the #1 agent in your market when you come out of this.
Wow.
So I have to say, I just want us to know that could be boring, right? And that's where agents get bored. It's like, well, I don't see the checks coming. I don't see the deals getting put together. Leaders, I don't see the agents joining yet. And I think this is where our patience is going to have to kick in. This is going to be a very trying time for patience, consistency, and just loving on your people.
Well, what does Gary Keller say about being bored? I think he says major success comes through repetitious boredom. I believe that's.
You can't get there any other way. And Rebecca will tell you, I am a squirrel. Without systems and models and her reminding me I need to do my job, I'll be bouncing around doing all kinds of different things because I get bored really easy. The only path to success is through boredom. And I hate to say that, but you can pick anybody you think is successful, and the old Michael Phelps story, well, he won more gold medals than anybody. Yes, and he was in the pool 6 hours a day working on his stroke over and over. If you don't think that was boring for 10 years to get in the pool for 6 hours a day and do the same thing, it doesn't matter what you do to get to high levels of success. You've got to get super boring. And the way that you live through that is, first, you understand it. Second, you build in systems and models and breaks and all those things, but you understand that what you're doing is bigger than you. If you haven't read Infinite Game, I would go read that book, because that is a documentary on what Keller Williams is and how we're playing the long view, the game. It's about protecting the industry and surviving as an industry rather than Keller Williams winning. Now, the byproduct of us living that way is Keller Williams gets the win, right? So you look at the same way from an agent position. Your whole job right now is to help people. It's your whole job, and the referrals will come in spades if you do that. That's
great. Mary Beth, if it's okay, we've taken up so much of Mark's time. Yeah. I feel bad. I was waiting for Rebecca to hop in and say, all right, time's up.
Does Rebecca have anything to add? Yeah. Anything that we're missing? No.
Marc, is there any one last thing that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I would say that several things. Hopefully this was impactful for you. Invest your time wisely right now, and there's a ton of education out there, et cetera. But I think if we were to recap, the most important things is no one succeeds alone. You have to build a world-class team around you. Um, you have to understand that the people who are in action today are going to win, regardless of what that action is. So jump in, get messy, make mistakes, and you're going to win. The only way you don't win is if you just sit back and don't learn. So I would say I truly mean it when I say I love you all, and I'm so excited about what the future holds for us. This is going to be a little rough patch.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back at this the same way we look back at 2008 if you were in this business at that time. And when I was going through it, it was hell. It was horrible. Today's going to be like that too. Just buckle up. We're going to go through it together, and we're going to be resources for each other, and we're going to make it. So my favorite story, and this is kind of how I live my life, my favorite story around times like this is the bear in the woods. And you've heard it a lot, and I'll repeat it as we close. So two guys are walking in the woods, Mark and Rebecca. I should say two guys. So Mark and Rebecca are walking through the woods. And suddenly a giant grizzly bear comes out of the woods, right? And says, "Arr." And immediately Rebecca drops to her knees, starts tying her tennis shoes. And Mark looks over and goes, "What are you doing? You can't outrun the bear." And she looks at me with a wry smile and says, "I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you," which, by the way, she could. So that's my favorite story, because here's what happens. Everyone's in the same boat with this. This is not just happening in Manhattan. This is not just happening, to some socioeconomic. This is everyone. So you have to be prepared for times like this. And that's what wealth building is about. That's what cash reserves, all that stuff. But what happens is all you have to do is be ahead, and you get to win. Here's the other thing. There's never been a downturn like this that people like Gary Keller haven't come out way ahead on the other side. So pick who you follow, lead through this, breathe, understand that I look at it this way. The next 24 months are going to be amazing, right? The next 3 months may stink, but the next 24 months in total are going to be unbelievable if we push the right buttons.
That is an awesome way to leave off, that the excitement of the next 24 months is going to be amazing. Yeah. So we can, some positivity. So we want to thank you for your time. Rebecca, thank you for jumping on. We so appreciate you.
Making it happen.
Absolutely. Without Rebecca, this would not have happened. And thank you for being a leader that you are. Mark, continue leading us. We are following you. We are listening. If you need us for anything, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here. And guys, we'll stay in touch, and we'll post this as well so people can revisit some really, really awesome messages here today.
You guys are awesome leaders. You're doing the work. Thank you so much for all you're doing. I appreciate all of you. Let's go win.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Mary Beth. See you Thursday.